I'm Victoria Downs and I have written the Willowburn picture book.
And I am Helen Turner and I have illustrated the Willowburn picture book. I lost my mum. She was very poorly and she came to Willowburn Hospice at the end of 2018. She had amazing care here. And they looked after her right to the end. But when we lost her, it was so busy. There'd been a build-up. We got used to the idea that we were going to lose her, but once she was gone and everything quietened down, I think that's when it really hit me that we were missing this massive person in our lives, and the impact on our whole family of her not being there. I think it's so important to know the different ways that can impact somebody, because I think as much as you think you prepare for something, you just don't know how you're going to react, and sometimes you feel very angry, and sometimes you just feel really sad, sometimes you feel like you're functioning and sometimes not. And I think it's so important to know that all of those emotions are really valid.
Absolutely. Slightly different experience for me. I had a really close friend, my best friend Lisa, who died very suddenly and unexpectedly. So we were all in shock, which added another layer of complication to the grieving process because it wasn't expected. And again, she was a very big, popular personality and a really good person to go to for advice. So there was a lot of times since she has died that I felt like she would be the perfect person to talk to, and she's not there. She also has a little boy who was really quite young when she died, and being a writer, I have sort of looked forward to and hoped that there would be an opportunity that I could write a story that would help people who were feeling desperately sad and unhappy and not really knowing what to do with their grief or how they should be behaving, because I've certainly had experiences in the past where people have assumed, oh well, you must be feeling a bit better now, and the answer is sometimes, well actually no, I feel as bad now as I did years ago. So having the opportunity to write this children's picture book really was quite a cathartic experience for me as well, and I did channel a lot of grief into the storytelling of it. Based on the character of Will O'Byrne, who is a rabbit who has not experienced grief personally, but knows friends in the garden who are other animals who have got experience of grief, and they feel it in different ways. And he visits them at different times of the year, and interacts with them. And through doing that, he learns and is more empathetic. He is very helpful towards them. He is able to comfort them in different ways. And it's how the animals are able to remember the people or the loved ones that have died in a really positive way. And based on some of the training that I had looked at about how important it is to talk about the people who have died, and Will learns how to do that. He learns how to, because at the start he just doesn't know what to say, and I think that's quite realistic for people who are trying to help somebody who's really upset and in the grieving process. But he then learns to say things like, well, what was she like? And having the opportunity to talk about somebody who has died can often be a very positive thing for the person who's missing them. And then again, looking at feeling sad and feeling positive at the same time can be quite confusing and conflicting, but Will explores that with his friends in the garden, and being together in their grief again is a huge comfort and a way to remember the people that they've lost. But it's been really, really important for me as the writer to discuss with the staff here at Willowburn the expectations, the non-negotiables. You know, we didn't want it to be ambiguous. We didn't want to say that a person had that they'd lost them. We wanted to say that the person had died and use that vocabulary. And so the staff here are just incredibly knowledgeable, welcoming, warm. I've found it an absolute joy working with everybody here, and they've been so kind and helpful, and really generous with their time and expertise. And you know, I can ask them anything, and I've had access from Willowburn to some training materials, and I've done some course in grief that was put on to me, so it's actually helped me as well from a personal perspective. But this is such an important place, and I've never been anywhere that feels as warm and homely as Willowburn Hospice. And it being in here, it feels like a bit of a safety net, almost like a cozy. It's just a lovely, lovely place to be, and from the minute you walk in the door, you're made to feel welcome.
I remember everyone, like all the staff when I was here, in the capacity of like my mum being here, all the staff were incredible with us, like with my whole family, my two sisters, my dad, and made like a really horrible like time in our lives like really bearable. And I thought for a while, like I wanted to do stuff to help Willowburn, but I thought for a while I would struggle to come back here, and I've been back here so much now, and I think my mum would be really, really proud of that. And like Victoria said, I look forward to coming in. I came in with my dad the other week. Like, I love being here. It feels very comforting. And I think the fact that the staff are really sort of proactive and thinking about ways to spread the word about this wonderful hospice, and think outside the box with approaches in terms of fundraising, I think is amazing.
Well, initially we set out to write a children's picture book, or I set out to write a children's picture book, and you set out to illustrate a children's picture book. But when I have shared it with adults, I was quite surprised by the reaction, in that everybody who I've shared it with who's an adult has said, this is really helping me. And that's had a benefit that we didn't really foresee. So ultimately, the aim of this book is to bring comfort to people who are struggling, who are sad, who don't know for adults who don't know what to say to their children, so that they could read this book together and use some of the interactions that Will has with the other animals to consider their own grief, and be able to start conversations that otherwise might be really, really tricky. I don't know, do you think?
Yeah,
similar?
I was thinking in my head, it's really given people an opportunity to, if they do kind of struggle with what to say, then it gives you like, oh well, look at how these characters are reacting, and that idea that it is okay to be able to kind of speak to people and ask them what they're missing about that person. I think things that you maybe think are taboo are not necessarily taboo, and just recognition that everybody deals with things in different ways. And I think it is so important that, yes, children look at the book and hopefully get comfort, but maybe if it's an adult reading the book to a child as well, it gives them a sense of comfort too.
The garden was wet with rain, and snowdrops littered the mist-covered lawn. A pussy willow with dancing yellow catkins quivered in the cool air. Will had heard the news that Eve, a deer who visited the garden, had died. He saw her little fawn poke his nose through the fence. "Good day, Fawny, are you well?" "A good day, is it? I can't tell. I am lost in all this madness. You think that I should turn off sadness? It sits so heavy on my chest. I cannot think, I cannot rest. Tears swim and blur my sight. I rarely have an appetite."